To the Go Ahead Sis YouTube channel. My name is Mary.
And my name's Nicole.
And we are super excited about sharing our most intimate, real, and raw conversations between millennials, Generation X, and Generation Z.
It's based off of our mentor and mentee relationship, straight right here from my living room. We're passing the baton, connecting the dots between the three generations, and bridging the gaps.
Well, welcome back to episode 8 of the Go Ahead Sis podcast. I am your host, Mary, and my other host is
Nicole. Welcome, 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 welcome.
Thank you guys for tuning in. I don't know if you saw last episode, but if you didn't, stop this video and go back to the last one so you can understand what we're about to dive into. So today we have two guests. From our last episode, we have Mercedes. And in this episode, we have Brianna, my friend Brianna.
Brianna and Mercedes. We got two firecrackers this go round. So I don't know. Y'all may want to just hold on to your seats this episode. So I don't know. We gonna see.
I'm on firecracker. I'm here for a word. So if Brianna is the firecracker that's gonna be bringing the word.
We're talking about both of you guys. But first, I'm like, we got to go back and do that recap from last week, though. But go ahead.
So before that, you guys can go ahead and introduce yourself for like a minute or so. So Mercedes, go ahead, go first.
Okay, my name is Mercedes PSL Bass. Yes, all of that. I am a fashion stylist. I am now an entrepreneur, working on an online boutique, everything. And yeah, that's my introduction. That's basically who I am. I'm definitely, I would say that my perspective in general, just so you know me, is I'm always about elevated thinking, elevated thought, any way to bring yourself to your highest self so you can really live a fulfilled life. Right. That should be the mission. That's what we're doing.
Period.
Yes, so hello everyone. My name is Brianna McKenzie. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Harlem, New York. I have my hand in a little bit of everything. I'm into makeup as a job. I'm not going to tell y'all where I work. That's too much information, but I'm into the beauty aspect of things. I also am on the creative side of things. I sing and I dance as well. And yeah, I'm just really excited to be here and to dive into this great talk that I've been watching the episodes previously. So I'm just excited to be here with you guys today.
And she's a beast on the mic and a beast with the brush. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
It's been I'm 27. How old are you now? You're 24.
Yes, child. Yes.
Ooh, she's a baby.
I never thought.
Yes.
I always is either 22 or 23. Them ages get confused. So I'm like, either she's 23 or 24. Not 25 yet, but it was like one of those ages. But I know Bree since I want to say I was 16.
Yeah, like that was the beginning, like dance ministry days, like
yeah. So he would, as you know, like what was just said, Bree's a firecracker. So me and Bree, like we would play fight, but the play fight would be more like wig hair tugging, chasing each other around. Like it was to the point people had to be like, chill out. But we never really got into like confrontation and stuff like that. We just play hard. But yeah.
I like that. Play hard. It was play hard.
Yeah.
Play passionately. That's what that is.
Yes.
We play passionately. So today's topic is just like what we said, a continuation from last week's topic. So last week we talked about pretty within, and what that was. Basically, pretty within really starts from the inside out. It's showing up healthy. It's understanding, it's healing. It's a continuous journey, understanding yourself, going back to areas where you just like put a Band-Aid over, but now you're going back and doing the work. So last week, Generation X, they, poured into us. So now they're passing the baton to the millennials which is me and Bree. So this episode is going to be intriguing. It's different, and it's a mix of both too, because we don't really see that nowadays. We don't really see like, that this generation, telling us or pouring into the next generation. So I'm excited to hear what we're gonna get. So with that said, Mercedes, you dropped a lot of bars last like when I watched the video, I was like, I looked like I was like for like about 15 seconds, I was like,
no, you was gone. She was like at the end, she was like, I felt like that was a therapy session. She was like, that was deep. She was like, that was a little heavy. She was like, that was heavy.
But good.
Like, I felt like I was in therapy. Did you feel like that, Bree?
I did, like, because I've had therapies like before. I've been in therapy, so it's like certain things that you guys were saying, I had like experienced in my therapy sessions. Just like bringing up like how to cope with certain things, so called.
Right.
So it definitely like hit some points, and you guys even brought up some things, Mercedes in particular. You brought up some pointers that made me like think like, hold on. I ain't even think about it like that before. Like it kind of made me just go back and rethink how I think to give me a new definition of how I should be thinking, if that makes sense. Yeah, so it was good. It was really good.
It brought up some things to the surface. Think about some things that we thought about, but it's been a while since we thought about it, and it came back up, which, like you said, always that elevated thinking. So even elevation, it requires you to look back so that you're elevated from that experience to the next.
And you're continuously moving forward. Like you said, like it's a journey. It's a journey. And this is a conversation I had with Nicole recently about journey and healing. Because I'm in a space where how I'm looking at my journey is not necessarily to label it healing, but more to label it a journey of elevation, because healing is the connotation that something is always broken, something is always wrong. I need to fix something. I don't need to fix anything. The foundation of who I am is there. What I do need to do is unlearn certain patterns that hinder me from showing up as my full potential, unhindered and not distracted by this world, because this world is ultimately a distraction, which keeps us away from ourselves and really identifying what the pretty is in ourselves. Like beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but we behold our beauty before anything else.
Right.
So in order for us to be able to show up as we are, we need to confirm that within ourselves, because things that we confirm in ourselves will show up as external expressions from everyone else around us. So I'm like, yeah, it's a continuous journey of elevation, because we're not broken people. There's not fixing that we need to do. It's unlearning, so you can get back to the foundation and really experience this life to the best of your abilities.
So when you unlearn, so you said a point. So I just have a question, so I have understanding. When you unlearn, is it that you're never like, you're not going back and like fixing that? Like, let's say I'm unlearning bad an attitude, like having an attitude. Is it that I'm going back and fixing it? Like, okay, this is basically like, what do you mean by not fixing? So what is the difference between unlearning?
So with unlearning, you understand, one, having a bad attitude is a defense mechanism. We already know that. You feel like you need to protect yourself from whatever external situations are occurring, because at this stage in your life where this attitude became part of the habit of how you express yourself, a trauma or something happened.
Yeah.
Now, when you identify that, you're unlearning that. For example, me at 39 years old, I no longer have to show up with this expectation that this trauma is going to happen, because now it's a habit. So for example, what's an example that I can give? I'll give an example of going into a work environment previously and having like being in a hostile environment. So say I'm there for like 5 years. I'm now conditioned to have my work environment to be hostile. So I have a new job now. It's a great opportunity. It's more of a passion of what I want to do. Anytime an obstacle comes up, my defense is to defend myself as though I'm in a hostile work environment, even though I'm no longer in that space. But when you come to awareness that, listen, this is no longer a representation that I need to show up as, unlearning is now you learning and being present in that moment of that work environment, so you accurately can decide what's really going on, because it may not be somebody's attacking you. We in our community as women, someone may say something to us that's critical, but because our mindset is people are attacking me, I need to be a defense, you can't probably listen to what they're saying, because they could be really saying something that can be beneficial. And if you were in a different space, you'll be able to receive it and not be on guard of what that situation is. So that's more of the process of unlearning. Okay. So it's like, I'm going to give someone a chance and not assume that they're coming at me, that we need to be at odds. Or it's like, if I don't really like someone, and I just come into a space, I don't really know you. Say I'm meeting Nicole and I'm just like, oh, I don't have a good vibe from her. Yeah. You also have to consider that you've been in a space where you've encountered relationships that have not been beneficial. So anyone who comes in that's anywhere close to what that past experience is, you are going to show up and be on the defense without even giving that person a chance, where it's like, hey, you know what, let me give them a chance and let me not assume that she's going to be like my past relationships, and also take accountability for putting myself continuously in relationships that weren't beneficial. So that's why I'm like, it's an unlearning process.
Okay. Got you. The example, or I would say, example that came to me was, there was this actress and she was telling, I would say like our generation, me and Breeze, to not go into the airports with bonnets on. And we were like, you see where I'm going with this. So, some people were like, oh, like, what are you talking about? Like, you're just judging and this and the third. But we always like to claim, like, people like, oh, aunt this, aunt that. But when aunts do their job and help train you and correct you, you don't want to take the correction, because just like you said, because we're so used to people in our community coming at us, that she wasn't coming at us. She was just elevating us to like, hey, have this look, play, not even play the part, be the part. So I get what you're saying now. So we have to unlearn that where it comes to like our femininity and just even like old mindsets. It makes sense.
Because who's really telling you that you're operating on the defense? Like, it would take, I prize myself to be a friend, to hold my friends accountable in that space. Like, okay, so this is where is this really coming from? Is this really the issue? Or are you creating that as an issue? Because, girl, I want you to move forward. And how are we going to move forward if you're still holding on to those past experiences like a blanket? I know I do. I know I have experiences that I was holding on to. When I first got into therapy, there were situations that I felt like these people were coming at me because I'm showing up as my highest self. Honey, listen, I'm even in therapy. You can't tell me nothing. I'm in therapy. Okay, I am the highest self. Y'all are the issue. But the reality is, no, baby. You were showing up with certain energies where you were triggered and you were reactionary.
It's funny that you say that, because my therapist, she told me, she said in those situations, because I went through that whole thing, and she had me to determine who was showing up. Like you said, it was a trauma that was triggering me showing up defensive, right? And so she was like, is that, depending on what trauma that was, is that your 12-year-old self? Is that your 8-year-old self? You don't want them making decisions for who you are currently. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to figure who's showing up, and you have to unlearn that process, because they helped you through that process for that moment, but they can't help you right now with where you're at. So yeah, I agree with you and everything that you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. Does it make sense, guys?
Yeah.
I told you she was gonna drop the mic. That's why I'm laughing. I'm like, okay, so we just go kick in the door. We wasn't gonna ease into it. You just go She just go kick in the door, but go ahead.
I was gonna ask Bree for us.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you go first. How do our generation, how do you think, well, for yourself, how do you show up healthy, and how do you think our generation can show up healthy for ourselves first, so that we don't have terrible encounters with other people projecting instead of holding ourselves accountable?
Oh, yes, projecting.
So for myself, I'm kind of like Nicole said earlier, I'm kind of like a firecracker. So I'm very, number one, confrontational, and I've had to learn like how to not really minimize it, but it's a time and a place. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And for instance, there's people let's just say there's people in our lives who, you know, do certain things or act a certain type of way, and you see that they're acting this certain type of way or whatever the case may be. And sometimes you can't directly go to that person and say, hey, look, this is how I feel that you're acting, or you're being this certain type of way, because they won't accept it. And when you don't accept it for yourself, or you don't realize certain things for yourself, it's hard for you to, as a friend, it's hard for you as a friend to communicate certain things. Mm-hmm. So I just feel like, for me, it's just a process of, you know, getting to realize for myself that there's a time and a place, and, you know, it takes time to get to where we want to be mentally, you know, emotionally. And sometimes there are people who are placed in our lives to, you know, be that big sister or be that, you know, person for us. But we kind of, I want to say like probably like take a step back from it because we don't want to accept it or we don't see it for ourselves. And it's just like the process of realizing, you know, it's okay to have somebody there for you and have somebody be like, hey, listen, I feel like, you know, you went about this the wrong way, or you didn't, you know, do this, you know, in the correct manner or whatnot. And, you know, just to take that in and be like, okay, I'm going to take that accountability. I'm going to take that responsibility for myself and own up to those actions and actually see the different point of view of where someone else is coming from. Because at the end of the day, you know, sometimes we always think that we're right. And sometimes we don't see the opposing, you know, you don't really see how they feel or, you know, what the broader spectrum of the whole picture, you know? So, I mean, I guess for me, it's just me personally, it's just a process thing. Like, it takes experiences, it takes time, it takes, you know, people coming into your life and saying, hey, you know, you were, I don't agree with this, or I don't feel, you know, that you were right with this. And then for you as a person to take the step back and really evaluate yourself and just be like, hey, okay, maybe I wasn't. Maybe, you know, or let me just talk to God about this, or he'll drop that, you know, in my spirit, like, okay, Brianna, you know, you wasn't right about this. And then, you know, it becomes something different. Like, okay, now I can go to you and now I can show that I wasn't right, you know, and I can move forward from that. So yeah, I just feel like it's just mostly like a process thing. It just comes with experience. It comes with people in your life. Yeah, for the most part.
I love
and just to kind of piggyback off what you're saying, Bree, and you know, because we joke about this, but ram to ram, you know what I'm saying? Ram to ram, you know, we have a tendency to be independent. You know what I mean? We know it all, you know, but ain't no, and I tell Mary this all the time, ain't no better teacher than life. Life has a way of like teaching you some lessons that it just get you right on in place and humble you. You know what I'm saying? And I would say my biggest lesson, even still to this day, you got to trust somebody. You understand what I'm saying? You got to trust somebody. Us as humans, we wasn't meant to be by ourselves. You understand what I'm saying? And on this journey, even, you know, I know this title is called, you know, learning how to be pretty within. Pretty is also, like Mercedes is saying, about being healthy, trusting. You know what I mean? You got to trust someone. You got to trust to let someone in to like help you in those areas that because we don't know it all. I had to, I would say, you know, probably when I was y'all age, I was by myself for a very long time. And then because there was so many people that, you know, that God was sending along my way to help me. And I was like, "Nah, I got it. But then after a while, it was like, you got to trust someone. You have to. I mean, you don't have to, but it sure does. Life is a lot better with somebody in there just to kind of just say, hey, you know what? Like how I come at Mary, and Mary, you know, our whole thing is about, you know, our relationship, our mentor, mentee, big sis, little sis relationship. You know, my biggest thing that I tell her is, hey, can I give you a different perspective? It's up to you what you choose to deal with it. And she'll tell you, either you can take what I'm saying or you don't. But my thing is, you know, you go take it up with God on how you choose to move with it. But, you know, it's up to you on what you want to do. But this is a different perspective on how you choose to, you know, on how you choose to look at a thing. But you got to trust somebody. You got to let somebody in there, because somebody has gone through what you're going through. And it could probably make your life a lot more easier if you just kind of just pay attention to the little wisdom that they're giving to you.
Right. And also, like, what I've noticed in like my generation is we have a lot of hurt people. So it's hard for, you know, a lot of us to trust, you know, to lend out that, you know, that hand and be like, hey, I need this, or I need somebody to be there for me, because, you know, it goes back further, like to parents and generational, you know, things that, you know, it builds up, and then it gets to a point where it's like, okay, when that person does come into your life, that's like, okay, I'm here to help you. You kind of have that like wall up. That's just like, okay, no, I don't want that from you, just because I already know what I've been through. And, you know, that's when the process comes in of breaking down that wall of, you know, not trusting and, you know, thinking everybody's after you or everybody's out to get you, you know. So that's just something that I've like noticed, like in my you know, certain friend groups, and, you know, just everyday life at work, like, you know, in just my generation as a whole, like it's that trust factor that's lacking. Like it's, for some reason, I don't know what it is. Well, I do know what it is, but it's just a lot of the time we think that somebody is after us, and it's really not the case. And sometimes it can very well be the case, but in most cases it's not. And it's the past trauma that you keep holding on to. And that when you get older and older and older, it's harder to break out of those habits and, you know, what you're used to because of the generational and what's gone on in the past and stuff like that. So just wanted to like point that out too, as I like remembered that just came up.
Can I just add that I was not able to fully be vulnerable in my relationships until I got vulnerable with myself and started to trust myself. I was not able to show up and have these very open conversations because of what I was feeling like internally. So I do understand not trusting someone, moving in spaces where you don't want to open up to people because you don't want to get disappointed. However, my suggestion would be like, you know, start with yourself. Trust yourself. Trust this process. Really trust God to move you in spaces that will bring you to a higher self. Because my inner glow didn't happen until I really started outer glow. I mean, my outer glow didn't really happen until I really started to soften my heart. Like we always talk about, like, you know, give us a heart of flesh. Come on, vulnerability is going to give you that heart of flesh. And you got to be ready for it.
Yeah.
Because it's like people are going to tell you, even with new friendships now, I'm showing up in certain ways that's not beneficial to the relationship. Guess what? I need to be open to that, because I was also saying no new friends. I had to be delivered from that. But what new friends is going to show you that people don't talk about. What New Friends is going to show you is the old habits that you have that was not beneficial for your last relationships. Now this is a new person telling you the same thing. You got to look at it.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
Mhm.
They'll show you the repeated pattern that you didn't listen to in your old group.
Yeah, because you thought, oh, well, y'all don't know nothing. Because I'm a know-it-all. I can say I'm a know-it-all. I'm working on it. But it's like, y'all don't know what y'all talking about, whatever. But this new person tells you something. One, you got to be open. Because then the defense can be like, oh, you coming at me. You just like everybody else. No, they're not like everybody else. This is a new experience.
Mm-hmm. My biggest thing, if you have more than one person telling you the same thing, I think you need to pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's not wrong. If you got more than one person telling you the same exact thing, it's more likely that you're the problem. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But no, just be open. When people are hurt, it's hard to be open.
Mhm.
But like you said, life experiences. Life is really going to teach you. You just got to be open to it. It's not going to be roses all the time and like peaches, but it's worth it if you're willing. You really have to be open, because then you're just going to continue to get hurt and repeat cycles and repeat patterns. And at the end of the day, it's hurting yourself.
Mhm.
One more thing before Mary goes to the next question. Mary, Mercedes, you addressed something in the last episode where you said our generation was so busy healing that we didn't take time out to spend time with Bree and Mary's generation because we were too busy healing.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things is the reason why we created this platform, because we wanted to take the time out, Bree and Mary, to one, apologize to you guys for not being there.
Mm-hmm.
And, no, I don't know everyone, but, me and Mercedes and anybody that steps foot on this platform, the reason why we're here, because we want to apologize.
Mm-hmm.
We want to do something about it. You know what I'm saying? We want to stand in the gap and say, hey, you know what? We starting here. You know what I mean? To do something about it and be there. You know what I mean? And then number two, forgive us. You know what I mean? We're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes. You understand? We got stuff this is not an excuse. We're not perfect, and like Bree, like you addressed, it's been passed down. Somebody got to, what you say, unlearn and do it right. So it starts here. And that's what we're trying. That's what we're not trying. That's what we're doing. So that's what this entire thing is about.
But I love that you said that to forgive us.
Yeah.
Because that also opens up the door for vulnerability. Because I can be vulnerable with myself. I can look at life and be like, hey, like, I wasn't there. I didn't do X, Y, and Z. I was too caught up with all these other things with myself where I couldn't look to you and be like, you need help, and whatever resources I have at that time to extend it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's
So I love that.
definitely appreciated.
I was about to say that. Thanks. Thank you.
Out there from
Everybody
all of
else
us.
say thank you. Everybody else listening, say thank you.
Comment down below.
All right. Like what do you say? Like this video.
Comment and
Didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I mean, it starts here. It's just starts here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sure.
Shoulder shrug.
Sure.
Awkwardness.
So, Bree, what experiences, well, for anybody, but what experiences have shaped you into, what experiences or lessons have shaped you into the woman you are now concerning showing up, healthy, being pretty within? I would say, go ahead.
You could start, because you could start.
Okay. So for me, it's a culmination of things. It was daddy issues. It was bad. I don't like to say relationships. It was situationships, because relationships, you relate to each other. Wasn't much of that going on.
Come on with a word. I know that's right.
It was, I would say, bad situationships. It was it was projection. It was a culmination of things. And after my last ex was when I really started doing the work, and I was like, I can't afford to be unequally tied to anybody again. So when I say unequally tied, meaning I can't afford for somebody to take me down the wrong path, or I can't afford, well, nobody can take you against your will. I can't afford to let myself go down the wrong path again. And I just have to focus on one. If I want different, I have to do different. That's the big what I'm saying. So I sat with myself. I held myself responsible for certain things. In the beginning, I did beat myself up, but I was just listening to things that were just like, no, it's a difference between beating yourself up versus, hey, I did this. How can I learn and move past this? Like what you said, Mercedes, unlearning. So those experiences, well, first, like I said, sitting with myself and just really evaluating, doing self-evaluation, doing hard work to be like, okay, this is how I got here. And now how can I do better, and allowing God to come in and, and change those things. So yeah, that's my example for you guys. So what experiences led you to the woman you are now and continuing to be? Not all at once.
Well, just to piggyback off of what you were saying, Mary, I could just relate to you in some of the things that you were saying, like as far as like the daddy issues part, and just branching off. Also, like, just relationship with my mom, like, relationships that I've been in. I feel like for me, there have been certain situations where I've been in and I've known, I know it clear as day, like I know my last name, that it's not right. And I would stay in those situations because either it felt good or it was just like, it was floating my boat for the minute, you know what I mean? And I had to learn the hard way that, being in those type of situations can affect you in the long run if you don't pay attention to how it's affecting you when it's happening. So I was like the type to see what was going on wrong and ignore it. Like, okay, yeah, I see that, but whatever, I don't care. Like moving on to the next thing, until it became a thing where it was like piling. And then I was exploding, and for me, that's not healthy at all. Like when I get to that point, it's just not good thing for anybody. So I had to learn to, when I realize something and when something, I get a red flag, to act on it. Don't just sit on it and be like, okay, just brush it off, but rather than just act and make sure that unlearn the things that I've been doing. I think that's like the word for today. But seriously, unlearn those things, because it can really cause much more damage in the end rather than what you see right then and there, like when you're going through whatever you're going through. So and then forgiveness as well. Forgiveness is a really big thing, at least for me, in my life, in my experiences. I had to learn how to really forgive, not just say oh yeah, I forgive you. Like if once somebody issues an apology or whatever, yeah, I forgive you. But actually no, I really do forgive you, not for you, not because of what the situation is, but for myself. So I can move forward, so I can grow, so I can, possibly, restart our, whatever this is, or leave you in the dust, either or, it's not for the other person. It is for myself. So that's kind of like a few, little things, little nuggets.
Yeah, it's fun. And like when you said let stuff build, now that's also too, that's an area I still have to work on. And I don't know why I do that. I do know why I do that. I don't like confrontation. And so I'll see the flag and then I'll ignore it and I'll let it build and I'll let it build and then I'll black. And when I black, it's not good, because when I would black, it would make me, of course, not pretty with them, because it can end bad where it would probably land me in probably a not so good place that I don't need to be. And for me, I'm still just being very transparent with everyone. I'm still learning how to work through the confrontation part. You know what I mean? Especially when it's stuff that I don't like. Because it's like, I'll say, but you could have caught it at the door if you would have just addressed it each time instead of letting it build. But I would like let it build instead of like constantly. I just don't like to, I personally, I don't want to keep constantly addressing something, especially if I told you once that stop doing something. Does that make sense?
So like, okay, so your example, I'm actually going through something like this at work, like in real time. So I have a coworker, right? Who, when so I've been at this job for a little, it hasn't been that long, right? And when I first met this girl, she was very open, very happy, very jolly all the time, very helpful. You know, as I started working with her more and more, I started to realize she has like kind of she likes to tell people what to do, even when they know what to do. And I'm the type of person, I don't like to be told what to do, especially be told what to do, especially if you're not my boss and I know what to do. You know what I'm saying? So I come to work, fast forward, I come to work one day, one of my coworkers that I'm really cool with, she lets me know that this girl has been talking about me and she has concocted up this whole story that I have stolen her sales and I was plotting on her and I was doing all these things, right? And my first reaction was, excuse me? Like, I don't know. Like my first instinct was to go off, you know what I mean? And I had to catch myself because it was like, number one, I have to be professional. Number two, I don't want this situation, especially because it's not true, to jump me out of my character. You know, and number three, I'm going to my boss and I'm letting her know now, just in case this girl keeps doing something and I'm gonna have to, you know, later on address the situation, you know? So that's what I did. I addressed my boss and I let her know this girl's doing, and my boss laughed. She thought it was funny, basically, you know, like saying, why would she lie? Blah, blah, blah. It's not that serious. But to me, it is serious. So in this situation, right? What would you say is the smartest thing to do? Just because I haven't said anything to the girl yet. I took the time to, like, you know, think about it. And I know that I can't go in there on, you know, rah, rah, rah. But at the same time, I do want this young lady to know that keep my name out your mouth. Thank you, please. You know, and for it to not happen again, because it seems like it's becoming a thing now, you know?
Well, I didn't have this situation like currently right now, but I did have it one time when I was working for this cosmetics company. And this young lady in particular was so just freaking rude. And she was just like she would, I would call her and she would just do like little stupid stuff, like hang up in my face. Right. So me being me, I had to woosah because I was just like, okay, Nicole, don't act ignorant, like calm down. Like I had to I have to talk to myself sometimes. Right. And so then she did it probably, I let her do it like 5 times, Brie. I know that was a lot, but whatever. Wow. So I had to, in that situation, this particular situation, because I don't always pass the test. In this particular situation, I did have to pull her to the side, and we did have a come to Jesus conversation. By me doing that, that did solve that particular situation. Sometimes, honestly speaking, I do have to go directly to the boss. You know what I mean? And then for me, Bree, a lot of the times in the situation, I have to remove myself from certain people. If I know that you are a trigger for me, I have to remove myself. Now, sometimes you will get bosses that will make you work with that person.
Yeah.
And you just honestly just have to, I know this probably sounds cliche or whatever, you honestly just have to ask God to give you a way to like work with them. I mean, because I've done all 3 of those situations. I pulled the person to the side, I've stayed my distance from the person. I've gone to the boss and stayed away from the person. And then it's been times where the boss has asked me, hey, can you do this project with that person? And I was like,
I'm trying it.
yeah. And then I had to really like pray and be like, God, you got to give me strength because, and I managed to get through it, honestly. So it just, yeah. Mercedes, I'm gonna throw it towards you because I know you have been tried in your industry.
I have, and it's about boundaries. I, like Nicole, I personally don't like confrontation, even though I will move forward and address something. Mm-hmm. I don't like it. It's uncomfortable. And I personally don't like confrontation because I am like, am I going to put myself in a situation where I will be triggered and then I'm now looked at in another way? For me, that's the mental conversation. But I do think, Bree, with this young lady, when you have a conversation, you can have a conversation, but also boundaries needs to be set. There needs to be, she cannot have access to you in certain spaces. Why does she feel comfortable telling you what to do if you and I are on the same level? Which means our interaction needs to change because we are not on, if we're on the same level, we have basically the same responsibilities. So I don't need to be up under you. It's great to have a friend, but at the end of the day, I'm here to do my job. Mm-hmm. And you need to understand that I'm here to do my job. It's great to have friends at work, but at the end of the day, you're there to represent the company, and whatever service that you're providing in any capacity, that's the main objective, not these relationships. If you have a boss that's not honoring that and it doesn't take it lightly, you now, like Nicole said, you have to pull yourself out of those situations and don't allow yourself to be in spaces that she's occupying, not running from her, but really think about your experiences as elevated. Like, okay, so if I'm a salesperson and I'm going to think I'm the manager. So what is the manager going to think about doing? What is the manager going to think? She's not going to be thinking about that because she's worried about somebody taking sales. Mm-hmm. So she's on a certain level. That's how you have to deal with that situation. This is not a fun way to deal with it because our emotions want us to react. Our emotions want us to protect. Our emotions want us to preserve. But I
just said, ooh, child.
But also we're having a work experience. And you have to elevate your work experience so you're in a different space than she is. If you look at it that way, listen, whoever needs to come to me for what I need to offer, you have to think beyond, because this is petty. Like, I'm trying to steal your customers. No, we're here to serve this. Like, I understand commission, though. I understand sales mindset and being commission driven. However, yeah, you just have to remove yourself out that situation and think higher than that, so she doesn't feel like she can tell you what to do. Because she feels like
a little bit of jealousy there. Because obviously Bree is probably doing best in sales, so she's trying to remove her out the spot. So then that's why you got to be smart about your move.
Mm-hmm. And somebody else told me that too. Like the coworker told, like she literally said that, like she's jealous of you, and it's just like, girl, it's not even that deep. Like, you don't even get, like, we don't get commission, like we only if there's like certain sales or stuff like that, but it's like, we don't get paid for this. So even if it was what you think it was, even when it wasn't, it's like, I'm not getting paid for that. So it's like, I'm not, putting my energy and my time into paying attention to what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm paying attention to what I'm supposed to be doing. And it just frustrated me that, she went to someone to speak on my name, not knowing that me and that person were cool. And, that person came to me like, hey, let me just give you the heads up. Mm-hmm. And then the next time I saw the girl, it was like, oh, hi, Brianna. And I'm just like, I don't really have anything to say to you. I'm dealing with my customer. Thank you. Have a great day, kind of vibe. And I don't want to come off rude or, like, mean or anything like that. But like you were saying, Mercedes, about the boundaries. Like, it's just like, okay, now I know that I can't even be like, have a conversation with you on the level that I once was, because now you done, whatever conjured you up and made you say whatever you said, like, it just, now it's cut off, you know? So, but thank y'all for your advice.
But this is also, I'll let you go. This is also going to be a learning experience, because you always, if you're going to be in a certain space, you may have to deal with people like this. So it's like, now how can you elevate from this experience? Because I had to deal with certain types of people until I elevated from that experience. I don't even know if I elevated from that experience, to be very honest. When I look back on it, I said, did I pass the test? Because I don't need no more, baby.
Okay.
And what I was going to say too, Bree, so now you see the difference of you're trusting in who you are in yourselves. She's not. You get what I'm saying? That's a perfect example. If she would not be in comparison in who she is and trusting in who she is, there would be no comparison, and she would trust that you're not trying to take from her. Does it make sense?
Right.
And that's why you got to trust in who you are. You get what I mean? But she's so concerned about you and who you are and what you're doing that is causing a level of jealousy there. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
And
it's like, sorry, when you say it like that, it just makes me feel like, well, dang, I can't even be mad at the girl, because it's like, do you even really know who you are? Like, you know, do you have those thoughts? Like, what goes through your mind? Like, yes, you may be this chirpy butterfly person on the outside, but like, because of the actions that you're taking, it's like it, and what you just said, it just makes me think like, you might not even, you know, have it all together like you think that you do, or you're portraying on the outside. Like, that's what it's making me. And now it's like, okay, now I don't even want to be angry with you. Now it's like, I'm really going to carry you differently. Like, okay, I don't even care at this point. Like, as long as I still have my job, like, you know, you're not, you know, messing with my opportunities, then we're straight. Like, on that. Yeah, that was like a ding ding.
That's what I was getting ready to say, tying it into what Mercedes was saying. Now, going back to unlearning, but you just said it. It's not even about you. It's about her own insecurity. Going back to showing what's on the inside of her. It has nothing to do about you. So set that boundary. It ain't even got nothing to do with you. Just continue to make your sales. I wouldn't even worry about that. So you just actually solved your own problem. Go back, do your sales, trust in who you are. I wouldn't even address the issue about the manager and what the manager said. Keep hitting your sales. It ain't got nothing to do with you. It's her and her own insecurities. So now you just unlearn a trait about, oh, she up there talk about me, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. You know what I'm saying? Right. Her coming in. You just did that. We just looped it all back in, everything that we just said, you just tied it. It just came back directly to you. So yeah, it just came full circle.
Yeah. Another thing that I like that just happened in this conversation was there was a shift in energy. When you heard she's jealous of you, it was the defense, like, I need to protect myself. I need to preserve my job. I don't know what this girl's going to do. I don't know if other people, I've had other experiences where people were jealous of me and tried to disrupt. However, when Nicole came with, she doesn't trust herself, that softened your heart. Because you know what it is to not trust yourself and be in that experience, so you can be compassionate. So you were able to say, I don't even need to be angry. I don't even need to worry about my job. It's more of a her issue. So also it's like, when we have these conversations with ourselves and with people, how are we guiding them throughout the process? Nicole, you just guide her into pure compassion in like 2 seconds, where she's like, I'm good now. I'm actually going to go pray for the girl, because I'm going to be good. I know I'm going to get my sales. I know. But you also had a friend who was telling you that she's jealous. So it's like angst coming in. Oh, she sees me, says hi. I'm not going to say hi to her. Where she says hi now, you be like, hey, how you doing? Have a good day. I'm with my customer.
I would even do something and like find out what her favorite treat is and take her something to eat. Hey, girl. Hey, girl. Hey.
And my money on her now. That's a little, the Lord got to work. That's a little extra.
But you know what? That's a journey. You don't have to.
Yeah.
your energy, what can be your energy towards her is like, I'm not even gonna treat you how I feel like you should be treated.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good.
I
What were you trying to say, Mary?
was with, like you said, Mercedes, the energy did shift where even in your face, Brie, it was just like, oh, makes sense. The dots was
Like a light bulb.
right. Thank you. A light bulb went off. So you see how we, like, even right now, like at this very moment, we have another generation pouring, just telling us like, oh, this is what to do. But it wasn't like a ABCD. It's through conversation, we got our answer. So I know that doesn't happen for everyone. So, take whoever's listening, take what you need as if we're talking to you, because we are talking to you, So I love how Mercedes said the energy shifted. And like I said, you could even see it in your face where it's just like, okay, the light bulb went off. So throughout, you didn't get the answers like, oh, Brie, this is what to do. But throughout conversation, you got understanding. So, and that's happening now. And I was saying for the viewers, like, take what we're saying as if we're talking to you, because we are talking to you. Because I was saying a lot of women or men, whoever's listening in our generation, they don't have a circle to even go to and ask questions. So I was going to ask, has there ever been a time where you were whether it's upset, disappointed, or wanted more out of the woman, out of the generation above you, that you felt like could have taught you more, could have showed you more, could have gave you more advice, could have gave you more like, hey, go this way and go that way, instead of being independent and finding it on our own, which did result to some hurt, did result to some gain, but do you feel like they could have navigated us more?
I will say that in navigating the space of what femininity looked like for me, I definitely wanted to be advised by the older generation, because I was always told, oh, you're being so masculine. Why are you acting so mannish and all this other stuff? And that's really a blow to your feminine ego, especially if it's something that you're trying to work towards, but you don't necessarily have the tools and you want to do it because you feel like there's success in a way, showing up divinely as who you are. So I definitely wanted more understanding and like someone who could break it down. But I realized, one, that was a journey that I had to go through to have a full understanding of what that is individually. And because I learned it individually, I can then inspire other women to know what that is for you personally and not have it be a projection. Because we can't all be the same as a woman. There's a woman essence that we should operate in, understanding who we are, loving ourselves, and understanding that as women, we are gifts. That's one, but we're not all going to show up the same way. And femininity is not all going to show up the same way in all of us. So there's not a one size fits all. That's what I wanted. I wanted a formula. I wanted you to be like 1 + 1 is 2. Yeah. And then you take this away, it's 1. And then you go back here. Yeah. But I never got that. And I felt like
you was cheated.
I felt like I was cheated, because then I was also told that because I didn't necessarily have these tools, I wouldn't know how to show up in a relationship. Yeah. And that made me feel like, that made me feel like, well, damn, I ain't gonna have no man, and I'm gonna be all mannish. I said, what y'all want me to do? You can't tell me. One thing is that what I'm not willing to do is tell someone, oh, you're not X, Y, and Z, and then give you the tools. I feel like with your generation, Mary and Bree, people tell you what to do. If you're being told what to do, I don't want to listen to you. You don't even know what's going on. You're telling me this. But like you said, throughout this conversation, it was a conversation that guided Bree to a point where she was able to have a revelation and understanding that she can propel forward. not just in this situation, but many situations now, it's going to be through the eyes of compassion. And you're going to be able to share that experience with someone who's then going to be able to now have the eyes of compassion. But yeah, my biggest thing was not being told that I was feminine and not given the tools. I still don't have, I can't say I don't have the tools. I know I have the tools, baby. But I wanted more. But I had to release that.
Yeah, I agree with you. That, and then how to date. I would say that. Yeah, I felt like I was cheated in that area, that I wasn't given like a rule, like a book or something. I felt like I learned mostly all my stuff from my friends. Like I didn't have an adult to tell me, hey, this is what you do. This is how you finesse. This is how you do this. All my homegirls taught me that. You know what I'm saying? Like I learned from like the streets, like which that's not the best place to learn, because you learn how to manipulate. You don't learn the best way. You learn how to manipulate people out of stuff. You know what I mean? So I did. I felt like I was cheated. You know, like I even went back to my mom and I was like, Mom, why didn't you teach me how to be sexy? Why didn't you teach me how to be feminine? Because you know how many times like I had so many like females tell me, like you wasn't sexy enough, or wasn't feminine enough. But I was more feminine than them. I was more sexy than it. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm like, it was, yeah, but I felt cheated. So I agree with you on a lot of that. So yeah. Ladies?
For us, it would be, I would say, Brie, I feel like music kind of trained us. And I wish music had an influence. I mean, yeah, the musics are great, but after a while, when I start to like listen to the words, because one thing that I do, I'm just like, oh, the beat is fire, but let me sit and listen. And you know, on Apple Music, you have a section where you can like read the lyrics as you go. And if I felt like if I was singing, you know, when you're singing a song, but you don't know what you're singing. So now when I'm looking, I'm like, wait, that's what it was all these years? And now it's like, as you can see with our generation, one person said, wherever the music goes, culture and society goes. So I would say for us, or for us, our generation, music was it. Music was it. I wish somebody would have told me to listen, not ignore the red flags, just like you said, Brie. Like when you see the first one, slap it. Like don't wait to the seventh one, because I saw a reel, and it was like, if a guy tells you A and shows you B, believe B. I was like, if he says A, he means it. It's gonna get there.
Yes.
It never got there. Never. Right. I was waiting at the door. You know the video with the late when you order the package and you sit outside as soon as you press and you wait. Yeah, that was me waiting for the call. Never came. So yeah, I would say to pay attention to the signs and trust your gut, trust yourself. And it's okay to, if people aren't going to be on your journey, you don't have to hold on to them for forever. I wish they told me that more.
I mean, for me, it was kind of like a mixture of things, because my mama is old school. Okay. My mama do not play. And she was very like vocal in my life. She is very vocal in my life. But I was always the kid that wanted to rebel, because it's like she told me everything, but it was like, okay, I don't want to hear that from you. Like, I want to go with my friends. I want to do what my friends is doing. I don't want to, listen to that. And that's kind of what made me realize, like, okay, Brianna, stop doing what your friends are doing and listen to what your mama is doing, because I would get myself into certain situations where I would get that little thought in the back of my head of my mama's voice saying, Brianna, didn't I tell, da, 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 da. And it was the right thing to do. Meanwhile, I'm in the situation because of what I wanted to do, So I think it was like, like the influence of friends, the influence of music, like Mary said, just the influence of every day, like your environment, like even schools, like nowadays, like this generation and the generation after us, like it's the kids, it's crazy. Like for example, one of my good friends, her little sister, she's 13 and she was in school. I was at their house or whatever. She came home from school and she goes, yeah. So she's telling us the story about how her day goes. She's like, yeah. And this boy, he spit on me.
Oh, not the spit, not the saliva.
I'm sorry, what? He spit on you, like from his mouth to your clothing. Even if it didn't land on your skin, doesn't matter. That's just, and it's just like little things like that. It's a big thing. Like it comes from the start, from your home, from your foundation. Right. Like, why are you going into somebody's classroom spitting on another human being, classroom or not? You know what I mean? Like, it's the things that, you know, influence the kids nowadays, like, and not even just kids, all of us, everybody, all of us. So yeah, it's a lot of negative
vibes.
Yeah, a lot of negative vibes that, you know, influence us and actually have us doing certain things that these songs are saying. And when meanwhile, the artists aren't really doing half the things that they're saying, you know? Yeah. It's just sad. It's like, I feel like it's just so sad to see, like, especially like our young men, like, you know, out here in the streets, like being thugs and all of this stuff. Like, okay, it's cute, I guess, but no, it's not. Like, it's really, really not. Like, it's life and death out here. Like, it's getting serious and it's been serious, but, you know, they don't realize that because they think, you know, the videos and the guns and the cars and the money and the girls and all of that. And it's just like, it's more than that, you know? So, yeah.
Because internal healing is not really pushed. It's just the exterior, you know what I mean? And I think for me, I think it's really mind blowing to really see how many people are trapped in their trauma. You know what I'm saying? Like if you really sit and look just at social media alone, it's like what, 90% of people that's like for real out there trapped in their trauma.
Right.
Like all you gotta do is look at social media. It's nothing but just people just trapped in their trauma. Would you say like the numbers like 90%, like that's being pushed 80 to 90%? Like you just said music alone, huh? Go ahead, Mercedes.
Because it's like a comfort. It's like a blanket, a comfort. Yeah. Like this is what I know. And it's actually seen as corny to be healthy.
Yeah.
It's not cute. It's not the girl who is sexy is not the one who is healthy, knows what she wants for her life. It's the one who's toxic, who you feel like it's going to turn it up. The guy is the same way. He's toxic. And I think toxicity comes across as passion. For some reason, for people who don't understand what it truly is to be passionate.
You're going to have to break that down just a little bit more. That's true. Yeah.
So because someone can go so hard in trauma, it's like, oh, they love me. They're doing all these things. Like they're possessive. They're narcissists. Their ego is running their lives. They're in trauma, so they're trying to keep you in a space to keep that trauma going, but they're so passionate about it. You can't see nothing but love for that. Whereas someone who is healthy gives you the space to be you, allows you to grow in who you are, but because it's not so suffocating and you actually do have to be accountable in your relationship and show up in a partnership, this person doesn't really want me because you don't go as hard as this toxic person.
Yeah, I had to learn that being toxic was like obsessive because I was in a very toxic relationship where it was very abusive. Where, I used to get abused physically, but I thought it was love, girl. I thought it was love. I thought I was in love with my black eye. You understand what I'm saying? Right. With my black eye. Yeah, because I thought it was love. You know, I didn't know anything. I thought it was passionate. I thought it was love, but that's what was
push.
Okay, so my family don't come for me because you know my platform is transparent. Because in my family, you know, it was domestic violence. You know what I mean? It was, you know, my family always fighting. That's what we was taught. You know, we was taught to fight with the guns. We was taught when one fight, you got to fight the whole family coming down the block and we all jumping on you at once. You understand what I'm saying? So we was taught to fight with this. And we was taught to fight with the, you know what I'm saying? So I took that into relationships. So my pretty with them, it was ugly because I had to unlearn a lot of stuff, a lot of toxic stuff. And, like for me, I love my family to death, but I was like, that's not healthy for me. You know what I mean? And I went through a lot of reading. I did a lot of therapy because I had to get a lot of that stuff out. Now, is it 100% gone? No, it'll pick its head back because, even some of my girlfriends, they laughed at me because they was like, Nicole, you got to get rid of that because I'll still get with you. Don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? It's still there a little bit. Jesus ain't done with me yet, it's still there, but I ain't what I used to be. You understand what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I thought it was passion. I thought it was love. But it was just pure dysfunction. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know I didn't know any better. And it's like what Bree was saying earlier, it was just passed down from generation and you don't know any better. You don't know any better because that's all that you're surrounded around. And so like now when I look at the generation now and like when I see like some of these girls, like when I was watching something on social media and it was this choreographer and she was, on her social media, beautiful little chocolate girl. And on her feed, she was happy. But her last picture, she had shown that all of this was blackened. Her eye looked like a bubble. And come to find out, she was in a domestic violence relationship, but you wouldn't have known because her feed had painted a totally different picture. And, she was talking about how she had, I guess, was engaged to the guy or whoever her fiance was. But all along, she was getting beat up the whole time where she couldn't hide it like anymore. And I look at this, some of the generation, how they think love is, like you said, is dysfunction, but it's really not.
It's not.
Really not. Yeah.
And it's like because I know the quiet, I wouldn't say the quiet, because I'm like, sometimes someone who is nonchalant could be seen as not passionate. And it's like, you have to understand what that passion is. Because it's like the guy who is like about his business, who's going to talk to you like, hey, like, why don't you look into this? Why don't you be like, you're corny. I wasn't in a space. Now that's all I want. First of all, what did you
I wasn't checking for the corny dudes. No shade. Yeah. Back in the day, now I give you some attention.
But my thing is that I don't even see them as corny now. Like they are so sexy because I'm like, this is partnership. This in a relationship with this person, I know would be healthy because it's about two whole people coming together. Like there's no suffocation. Okay, so we didn't have a conversation all day today. It doesn't mean that the person doesn't want you. You still have to deal with all of that and see how you possibly are showing up toxic and so forth. But I'm just like, those types of relationships are not portrayed on social media as beautiful, as loving. You have to go out your way to find that. Like, you don't got to be beat up for love. He don't got to cheat on you. You don't have to cheat on each other. You don't have to have dysfunctional in-laws. You don't have to have dysfunctional friends. And none of that dysfunction. Like you could really have healthy girlfriends who love each other, who support each other, and who genuinely are there for each other. Like that's not pushed. You hear girls catting, guys, maybe he's stealing this girl and so forth. But that's what people see as passionate. That's not.
And then one more thing, because you just said something about the phone calls. Like a lot of girls want a hardworking man. He at work. He can't call you all day long. He at work. He's not gonna be able to call you 24/7.
Mercedes.
Are you because I was a woman who needed to be validated, thinking that you needed to be thinking about me, so therefore you were going to show up and call me.
I had to learn that. Me too.
I had to get busy about my own life. so that when we do show up together, it's not like, oh, I wasn't thinking about you.
Mhm.
We're both working. It's because I wasn't going after what I need in life. That's why I was so consumed wondering why he not calling me, what's going on at X, Y, and Z. I had to recently, okay? We're not gonna act like it's been 10 years. No, okay. Recently, I had to get to the point where I was like, Mercedes, why don't you get busy about your life?
Yeah.
And stop. But those are things that I didn't learn. I learned that, the guy who don't have no life is always gonna be, what's up? What you doing?
Yes. Why
Hey,
do you think that? I don't know. Why did
I don't know. I think
sagging pants, all of that cute? Why?
right. I was just about to say that. Like, I think our generation thinks it's cute. Like, at this point, it's just like a thing like, you love me, so you have to show me how hard you love me. And if you're not blowing up my phone, ringing and pinging me down, if you're not stalking me down, popping up at my job, if you're not doing all the crazy things, then you don't love me and you don't care about me.
Stalker.
Right.
That's a stalker.
exactly.
I'm calling the police. That's a stalker. You feel
Yes.
make me uncomfortable doing that. Don't
But
go
like
to my job unannounced.
Right, but like some women love that. They're just like, it's just like a feeling like, oh my gosh, yes, like, because I'm not gonna lie, I was one of those people. I used to be one of the people like, yes, I need you to call me all the time. Let me know that location needs to be on. Like, yeah, pop up on me. Like, or I'm gonna
Arguments was a turn on. Why?
like, I don't know. Like now looking back, I don't know. Like, it's just crazy.
We grew up. We grew up.
But it's
Here's
also-
another thing, are seeing how much you can make him upset. I used to do that in my 20s too.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
The testing, yes.
It was a toxic thing. Yeah. I used to see like if I could get him mad, how bad, because that showed me how much you cared. Just yeah.
Mind games. I used to play them.
I honestly feel like these types of things come from our inner need for validation.
Yeah.
And in all of this, have you even validated yourself?
Ooh.
Come on now.
When I started to validate myself, I did not need external experiences to validate me. However, I naturally attracted those experiences that did validate what I was already saying about myself first. Nobody could come and tell me anything that I wasn't already affirming, confessing over myself. And I feel like that is the cycle to get out of those types of toxic experiences. It's running away from yourself and trying to put the pressure into the responsibility of you having success on someone else, especially in love.
Yeah.
Like for me, I realized that when I was doing all of those things, I realized that what came up, what the root of it was my daddy issues.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like that seeking the validation from a man kind of thing. It was like starting to really, really weigh, but I didn't really fully understand the capacity of what it was weighing on me. And it just became, the more it weighed, the more toxic it became.
Right.
And it just became like unbearable, like after a point. But, you know, when that point came, it was like, I felt like I had got my heart broken, but it was just like, okay, no, this is the time to get out of that. Your season for this is up. Like, okay, moving on. Like, you need to learn from this. Now, what are we doing moving forward? How are we healing moving forward? How are you not going to repeat this cycle again? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's, you know, just dealing, if you know that it's like something in your past, you know,
Right.
once again, you know, you have to deal with those things before, you know, jumping into something. And sometimes we don't even know that, you know, there are certain triggers. We have certain triggers until they get triggered, you know, and then you have to deal with it from there. Like, oh, how do I maneuver from this? How do I, you know, accept this? Not really accept it, but know that it's okay and know that I can get through it, rather than beat up on yourself and thinking that, you know, you can't get out of it. Because I feel like a lot of women do that. Once they're in a toxic situation, they feel like they can't get out of it because, you know, they're stuck or they're trapped, or, you know, this person has a hold over them, or, you know, it could be a plethora of things. But it's just taking that first step and just knowing like, okay, this is what I want for myself. I know that I don't want to be stuck in this situation forever or period, so.
And all of that, what we just talked about was we were hiding behind emotions, calling it pretty, calling it like
On.
We was just like, yeah, everything is good. He loves me. We were on the phone for 3 hours arguing about what? Nothing. Like he's popping up in my house unexpected after I told him to stay away. It's pretty. It's lovely over here. But it was all emotions of, like you said, Bree, neglect, rejection, abandonment, all of that is just showing up. And at that moment, we called it pretty until we sat with us. One, we wanted better. Two, we sat with ourselves to figure out, okay, what is it that I really want? Where am I going? Where do I want to go? And then walk ourselves through that journey of unlearning and learning, new habits, new traits, and new ways to do things. I like that.
So I have a question, because I'm always thinking, how would we relate to our younger selves? So a lot of negative toxic traits we tend to identify within ourselves as ugly, right?
Mm-hmm.
If your little self was having a temper tantrum, would you call her ugly, or would you call the action ugly? Like how would you communicate with her? And I ask this question only because when I look at my past self, I'm like, oh, like that was ugly, you should be ashamed. No. That was not the best version of who you are. You were growing, you were evolving, you were getting to this space where you could fully see yourself. That beauty has always been there. Mm-hmm. It's always been there. We wouldn't tell a little girl X, Y, and Z is ugly about her. We would guide her through that process. Our little self is still there. Even though those experiences were ugly, we were still beautiful in that process because we were growing to get to this space.
That shifted.
That was beautiful.
Like that, we can get in on that. Like,
yeah,
right? Yeah. Calling it ugly.
I need a chip on that one. No, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Because I still, like Nicole, like you could say X, Y, and Z about your past. Like you're still beautiful to me. You're still gorgeous. Even if your past could have been X, Y, and Z, like I still see your beauty. I don't ever see and be like, oh, she's still beautiful. She's still that gorgeous, stunning light. It doesn't change you being beautiful. And I feel like when we go through experiences, Hollywood does this in the movie, in the industry. When a character is transitioning from one space to another, they try to make the character look as visually unpleasing as possible. And then when they evolve visually, they become something that people want to see. Mm-hmm. But that evolved self is always there. So it's like, we don't have to visually make ourselves or look at what we've gone through as ugly. The experience was ugly, but visually we were still gorgeous. We were still pretty within. Yeah, that's never changed. That. That's always part of our journey. That's always who we are. And I think more younger girls need to hear that. You're still pretty. Yeah, this situation is messed up, but you're still pretty. That doesn't, we could change that.
I think about, as I'm listening to you guys remember that little girl? We all saw that video that went viral of that little girl. Remember, that was getting her hair braided, and she started crying because she felt like she was ugly. Remember that? So as you're saying that, I just kept hearing her in my head that she felt like she was ugly. And that mother, or whoever that was doing her hair, she never once told her she was ugly. She guided her through that process. Because I'm a visual, Bree, you're a makeup artist. So how God talks to me, I'm a visual. So that's what he was showing me visual as you were talking. And I was like, that's true. We're always guided through the process. We're never once told like we're ugly through that process. That's very true. Very true.
And never took away from us. It actually made us.
So going forward, whenever we do something, always go back to that example. it's never that we're the process, that we're being guided through the process, that we're not ugly, but that we're just being guided through that process, that process may not be pleasing in that moment, but we're developing through that process, in so many words.
Exactly. Because for me, that's how I learned how to accept myself, because I would label myself and experiences ugly and be like, oh, I showed up ugly today. Like, guess what? Tomorrow I'm gonna feel ugly. How am I convinced to show up the next day feeling the best version of myself? So as I guide myself through this process of life, yes, Mercedes, we did not like that. That was not the best that you could have done. Let's learn from it. But you're still pretty.
Yeah.
You're still pretty within.
Love that. We can end on that. That's beautiful. I'm like, I love that.
Bree, you're still pretty.
Mm-hmm.
You're still pretty. Mary, you're still pretty. Oh, it's like my inner self just said thank you.
Right? Smiling. My soul is smiling.
Yeah, right. You feel a little
Just lighter.
Oh,
that was a beautiful conversation.
It was. It really was. This blessed my heart. I'm just like,
I just go back and listen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to, yeah. Because it was a lot.
I just love it. And you know what? To be very honest, like I feel like now at this stage in my life, I really enjoy being a woman. I enjoy being around other women because it's really like a sisterhood and a tribe. Like these conversations like edify my soul. Like I walk away feeling like full and, you know, just excited to be part of the womanhood tribe. Because I'm like, it's a beautiful thing. Like I wish this for all women.
yeah.
I wish for them to be in spaces that's edifying, where you can be transparent and vulnerable and really be around people who are being vulnerable about their lives and not, we didn't come into this film like we had shame about anything. We just was like, no, we're showing up.
Yeah. There's no reason to be ashamed. We have to hide.
Exactly.
Like we are who we are, period.
And then it's
Full,
like in this place where, you know, nowadays so many women are pinned against each other to, you know, bring each other down, tear each other down, talk bad about each other, gossip about each other. And then it's like you have certain groups and you have this like two sides, like one side women are doing this, and then the other side women are actually coming together, joining each other and uplifting each other and having that, you know, that positive, transparent relationship that is really needed in this time and place. Like it's really needed. So I'm grateful for y'all.
Aww, yay. I don't know why I keep doing this. I don't know where I got that from.
you know, hearts are my favorite, Nicole.
I'm like, yay.
Hearts are my favorite. So
thank you
Right.
guys so much. One, for your time, for taking the time to be here today. I appreciate it. You probably had so much other things to do, but your presence made a difference. So thank you, Mercedes and Bree. Thank you, Nicole, for your impart as well. Wonderful host. And guys, until next time, unless anybody has anything else.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary.
yes, thank you, Mary.
Having us. Yes, host.
For
Thank
guiding us through the entire, putting this whole show together.
I was sitting here like, all right.
Come on, Mary. Come on. Big up yourself. Big up yourself.
Thank you. Any last minute tips that anybody our nuggets that you want to leave with us? Anybody?
I do want to leave a nugget.
Okay.
Since we are in the mindset of, you know, honoring our pretty, be mindful of how you intentionally invest in that daily. So how are you intentionally investing in yourself daily, mentally, spiritually? Be intentional about that journey and not allow sort of like disrupts to get you in a place to reflect, even when it's good. Reflect on it being good. Mm-hmm. And when it's not, still reflect on it, because you're like, you know what, tomorrow's another day. But just be intentional about that daily, whatever that process looks like for you. really stick to it. Because it for me, that's been a game changer. How am I waking up intentionally? Am I allowing the day to set my mood, or am I setting my mood?
Yeah.
What's your Cash App?
And just one thing, it's okay to trust, you know. I know, like, you know, I'll with Mary and I, you know, we've been on this journey for a minute, right, Mary? Would you say that?
Just diapers.
Listen, and she ain't no walk in the park. Bree, you know this. She ain't no walk in the park. Ain't.
Not your head one more time, Bree. One more, you got one more time.
She ain't no walk in the park, you know, but you got, you know, so I'm talking to like all the listeners, you know, you have to trust someone. You know, life is to be shared. You have to, share life. The way this time is moving on this earth, I'm like, find just one person that you can just talk to, you know, that you trust, you know that's safe, that you can just even just bounce an idea, you know. It's fun. It's because even like me and Mercedes, we send each other like videos throughout the day. I am throughout the day, you know. We constantly like just hitting each other up like, girl, look at this. And we share thoughts, we share motivation. Like, just find someone that you can just bounce something off just throughout the day, you know what I mean? Or someone that you could just talk to, just engage with, because life is meant to be shared. Life is meant to be just find someone you can trust. You know, that was something, like I said, I had to personally learn. It wasn't something overnight, you know what I mean? But I found my way there, and I'm glad that I did, because life is much more beautiful with having people along the journey with you. So that's my nugget. Mary, Bree, y'all got anything? You don't have to if you don't have anything.
Just enjoy life, man. Enjoy life. Life is wonderful, you know? Just live and grow and accept your growings, and don't make the same mistakes. And even if you do make the same mistakes, learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's amen.
That was the word for the day.
Yes.
Y'all so silly.
I think, well, I was going to say this in the beginning, but what I'll say now, and then I'll just edit it in the beginning if I have room. But when I was giving the introduction to Bree, one of the reasons why I was like, okay, let me find, like, who can I ask to be my generation? So I thought of Bree, and I thought of you because one thing I like for a fact known about you, like I said, like since we were playing passionately,
not the roll in the top of the head.
Is that you've always had a sense of individuality. You've never conformed to anybody. You've never, if you listen to people's opinions, but you'd be like, thanks, I'm gonna do my own thing. And your personality is just vibrant, firecracker. I mean, that goes without saying, but vibrant in that of itself. And now I want to say that even talking to you now, from where we were to now, you've grown so much, friend.
Oh,
and it's just a blessing to watch you. And I was gonna say it. I was gonna say, but I was like, no, probably I shouldn't, but I'll say now. I will, you know how we always be like, I want friends, I want somebody I can talk to, and this and third. But I mean, to get that, you have to, anything that you're gonna get is because you're ready to receive it. So I've prayed, and my prayer was, God, give me new friends. But I reverted that prayer to, Lord, help me to be a better friend so I can get friends, because you're only going to attract what you put out. So it's a law of attraction, y'all. Hang on to it. Oh, yeah. So in that of itself, I was saying, just not even thank you, but I see you, girl. See you.
Thanks, sis. And same to you. I'm proud of you doing this thing, girl. It's been a minute. You've been talking about it for a while, and then it started manifesting. Now it's here, and I'm just so proud of you, for real.
For real.
Yes.
She brought me a Tiana Taylor. You know how Tiana, well, that's the Harlem, right? That's probably the Harlem. Yeah.
All day, baby. You already know.
Oh God.
Well, we want to thank you guys for tuning in for Go Ahead Sis,
Episode 8.
Yes.
Pretty Within. Tune in for our next episode. Episode 9 is going to be real good. So tune in for more details. Thank you.
Later.
We want to big up and thank you for rocking with us and tuning in. We hope that you enjoyed this conversation.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. Oh, and definitely share with a friend.
Oh, and don't forget to follow our Instagram handles down below.
So until next time, go ahead, sis.